What's going on, guys? So in this video I'm going to talk about my first ever technical, maybe controversial video. Women in combat arms, right? So in this video I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about females, whether I'm for it, whether I'm against it, what are my thoughts on it. And in this video I'm kind of just shooting it off the hip, so I haven't really thought too much about it up until right now. I'm actually doing the video. Reason being is usually when I do that I kind of give a more of a natural response. So if you were to talk to me in person, if I don't write anything down, if I don't pre-think it, or if I'm don't do a second take on the video or something like that, it's more of a natural response, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing with this video. So this is kind of my honest opinions on females in combat arms. So just so you guys know, I am not in a combat MOS myself. I'm a 25 Bravo, technically not anymore because I am a cadet about to be an officer who is trying to be in a branch that is also not combat arms. Not necessarily that I have anything against combat arms, it's just in another life I would do it, but currently I'm doing what I really enjoy, which is technology related stuff. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. If you want to do combat arms, feel free. If that's what you want to do, please do it. Do what makes you happy, right? So females in the military in general, just so you guys know, this is a whole nother topic, but females in the military, in my opinion, there's a slight disconnect between them, right? So there's this big to-do about the PT test, right? So the female's PT standard is lower than the male's PT standard. The run is lower, the push-ups are way lower, which in my opinion, I think it should be a little bit more equal. I definitely don't think it should be the same across the board. I definitely don't think females PT test should be the exact same as a male, but I do think the minimum for a female's push-ups is really low, as well as the minimum for the run time. I think that can be improved because I've seen females in running that are super duper fast, and it just blows my mind, right? And just the minimum for the run is so slow. It's really slow. But I mean, if you're not doing combat arms, that's fine, right? So that's the main topic for this video, combat. Now I'm gonna go off of what I've heard from people who are in combat MOSs, and then just my general opinions on fallbacks, right? Now I just said the word fallback, so you guys might think that I'm totally against females. Totally not, right? So the overall theme of this video I definitely want to talk about is, I do think that it's fine for females to be in combat arms, but there are some drawbacks to it, right? So I've been asked, by a viewer in comments to talk about this actually multiple times, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to, answer your question in video format. So if a female is up for the job and she wants to do it, by all means, I think she should go out and try and do it, because now it is available. You can go out there if you want to be, in infantry or whatever. You can go out and do that. Now, from my experience, I have not seen any female at advanced camp recently. I just made a video on advanced camp. I saw a couple girls who actually wanted to be combat arms or combat MOS, and most of them were in better shape than a lot of the males, right? I've yet to honestly meet a female that's in better shape than me, but that's just because I haven't came across it yet. I'm sure the Ranger girls, the females who have gone through Ranger school and all that stuff are probably in better physical shape than me. Some of them might be, but for the most part, guys, all these females, I really haven't seen any females who are just in terrible shape, who are just super girly or super whatever, try to be in a combat MOS. I haven't seen it yet. I don't think it'll happen just because it's not going to be their personality. But I have seen very athletic females try to be combat arms, and I've seen girls or women that are more athletic and can do more than a male, right? Now there's different tests, so if you want to be in a combat MOS, you do have to apparently, if you're a female, take see if you can deadlift some weight, right? So I think that's really good. I think that the fact that they're doing that is fine, because the worst thing in the world you want is somebody, male or female, being in a combat situation who is physically unable or incapable to help out somebody. So if somebody is shot in the leg and you have to like pick them up and carry them, drag them, or whatever, you know, if you can barely deadlift 120 pounds and you're a female or like even a male, like, you shouldn't be doing the job that you're doing, because somebody could die because you're not in good enough physical shape to do the job. Now, because I think that they're doing the proper things that they need to do, to where male or female, you're meeting the physical standards to be in a combat MOS. I think that is fine. The only downside to this that I think is the biggest problem, I don't even think it's the physical issue, right? So I really don't like. So the physical aspect, I think the females, a lot of them that are trying to be in combat MOS jobs or whatever, they are more capable than some of their male counterparts, right? So they're definitely up there. They're definitely physically capable. The biggest downside to this is, as of right now, there's such I think a negative stigma on like females being rangers, females being in like infantry or any combat MOS. Like, it's not common right now, right? So a female trying to do that, people may not say it vocally, but there's definitely people, like, whether they're in the military or not, will just look at it like, you know, what the heck, and there might just cast some shade on that female and just be like, you know, she is not where she's supposed to be, you know, go do some other MOS, right? So I think that's a really big negative thing. So unit cohesion and being in a part of a team or a squad, and being able to rely on each other. Personally, if the female is capable and she is able and she is you know, just physically ready to, you know, have my back if we were to go into a fight, then I'd be fine with her being by my side. But other people may not feel the same way. Other people just may not. One big thing that people talk about a lot is just the fact that the female is a female, right? So let's say there's two people who are shot and injured, right? And you're there looking at them, and you have to make a choice. You know, do you save the male or do you save the female? And a lot of people think that they might be biased towards saving the female, even if it's more dangerous, and the guy should be saved better, or saved because it'll be a more guaranteed or less life-threatening to save him. So that's something people talk about. Another thing a lot of people talk about is that time of the month for females, right? So if you're in the field for a really, really long time, months, weeks, or whatever, and you don't have access to what you need, it just, you know, might become unsanitary. You may just, you know, like I said, you may just not have what you need to do what you have to do, and that could become an issue. So that's something that people have talked about, and, you know, that's on you. I'm not exactly sure how people are dealing with that right now, but that's a thing. The next big thing is being, you know, prisoners of war, POWs, and that's just a risk that you're gonna have to take, because if a male gets captured, generally they're not gonna rape them, right? So this is kind of taking a turn on this video. So generally they're not gonna rape the males. The sad part is if a female gets captured, it's probably not gonna turn out so great for them. And that's one thing that's just a part of the job, right? So, and don't take that the wrong way. So if you're in a combat MOS, you have a much higher likelihood that you're gonna get captured. So females should take these things into account whenever they're want to do a combat MOS. They should realize that you're going to be around like all males all the time. You're going to be, you know, having to do, you know, much more difficult things than you would have before. You might get some pushback from people, especially right now, because it's just not common in the military. And I think that's just the biggest thing, is it's not common yet. There's only literally just a handful of females who are in combat MOSs that want to be in combat MOSs, and it's just a different environment. So whenever I was at advanced camp last month, and this happened last week during the branch briefing, there was a female officer who was talking about in her little speech about the branch that she was talking about, and she was talking about how it's just a fact that being a female in the military is different and or harder and in some areas than for a male, because just for the simple fact that she's a female. And in a combat MOS, those things might be more so escalated because it's so new. Because some guys, I've heard some people who are retired and they see that females are trying to be rangers or females are trying to be infantry, and they're just like, you know, what the heck, you know, this is stupid, they shouldn't be doing that. And so some of that could still be lingering around, and that's just an issue that the early females, like the early adopters for these combat MOSs, are going to have to deal with. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for this video. I think I covered what my opinion was, which is do what you got to do. If you really want to do it, and if you meet the physical requirements, and if you're up for the challenge, and if you're up for I don't know, maybe encountering some of the pushback that you might get from your male counterparts, you know, do that. If you want to be the girl who paves the way for the rest of the females who want to do that, then that's fine by me. Go ahead and do it. The only negative part is just the fact that honestly you are a female, right? So some guys might treat you just differently just because you are a female. It's really it's really difficult to treat a guy and a girl the same. I mean, it just is. Like, you want to be harder on the guy than you do with the girl. That's just in training, that's kind of how it is. Now, something that I don't agree with, I guess, on a side topic, so this isn't technically the end of the video anymore because I'm going to talk about this. So ruck marching in the military. So many times I see girls that are rucking, and the cadre or whatever's going on, they take the ruck off them. They're like, hey, you know, you're having a hard time. They take the ruck off, and then they just like walk. So they're rucking, like everybody around them is rucking, and they're just like walking with no ruck on their back. And I think that's ridiculous. And a lot of times, like, they still pass. It's ridiculous to me. I've heard about that from people who go to like Fort Jackson or something, for example, because whenever I went to Benning, it was like only males there, right? But at other basic trainings, there's females, and I've heard that sometimes like they'll take the ruck from them and then they'll just finish it out like walking or something like that. And that's something that I definitely don't agree with, because the 35-pound ruck, like that standard, is basically the standard for females, because you take the way like the 35-pound, but like the reason they came up with that 35-pound magic number is basically the lightest you can weigh and still be in the military, still be in the Army, and then it's like 30% of that weight. So I'm not exactly sure what the actual percentage is, but like let's say the lightest you can be is 120 pounds. You got a 35-pound ruck, you know, that's like, I don't know, 28%, or no, yeah, 30 like 3% or something of the minimum weight you can be in the military, and that's like male or female. So the fact that sometimes people take that ruck away from them, I think is ridiculous, because that is just an Army standard across the board. So I don't agree with that necessarily. So that's something that I don't like, because I've never seen even the smallest guy who's been like freaking 5'2", super skinny on double rations because he needs to eat more because he's under the standard for weight. I've never seen them take a ruck from a guy, but I've seen almost every single ruck march I do with females. There's females who can't complete the ruck, and they still get credit for it even though they don't do it. And that's just something that's like one small little thing, but that's something I don't agree with. Not necessarily combat arms, that's just across the Army in general. So if the Army can fix that, just if it's an Army standard across the board, you know, gender neutral, then it should be a Army standard across the board, gender neutral. So that's my thoughts on that. So that's in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You guys now know my thoughts on this whole topic. Pretty much covered everything that I can think of. Shot it right off the hip. So this is my first first time I've actually verbalized what I was thinking. And yeah, so if you enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, comment any questions down below. If you have any hate, go ahead and comment that down too, because that'll be awesome and very enjoyable for me to read. Dislike if you want to dislike, because maybe you are one of those people who think that they should never even think about joining a combat MOS, or maybe you think I was wrong for saying the whole Ruck thing. Go ahead and hit that thumbs down. It's fine. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I promise you. Throughout my YouTube career, I've definitely been through enough stuff, and throughout my YouTube past career, you can't really say anything that I care about if I make a controversial video. Like, this isn't even very controversial, but if I do in the future and you guys hate it, I don't care. I'm honestly gonna put out my opinion, and I'm not gonna change anything just because y'all want to hear something in specifics. So anyways, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Ruck.